Hello, all my lovelies, and welcome to another weekly tarot pick a card reading. You may have noticed that last week I came out with 2 videos instead of 1. I wanted to mix it up a little, see if I liked kind of coming out with 2 videos a week. And I may do that from time to time. I don't know if it'll be a regular thing. Let me know kind of down below how often you would like to see a video from me. It might help me figure out kind of how many I want to do each week, what you guys are wanting, what you guys like. So today's video is going to be a part of a series that I had started. I only have 1 video called Astrology and Tarot. We learn a little bit about astrology and then we follow that up with a tarot reading. So the last time I did this series, it was a message from Saturn and we learned a little bit about Saturn. This week I was called to do a video on Chiron. Chiron is actually an asteroid and you can look up where he sits in your natal chart. And he represents the wounded healer. So he kind of shows us what area of life we're meant to be wounded in some way. But it's a wounding with purpose. It's a wound that we're supposed to overcome, that we're supposed to heal, and then we become a healer for others in that area of their life. Almost like our experience with that wounding gives us wisdom. We can empower ourselves and use it for something purposeful and help guide others. So Chiron also, for some astrologers and for me, is considered a co-ruler of the sign of Virgo. So Virgo is ruled by Mercury, but I also consider it to be ruled by Chiron because Virgo is also an energy associated with the healer. Lots of doctors have strong Virgo energy in their chart. And Chiron, if it's in an important area of your chart, like 10th house of career, for example, can signify working in a field that has to do with healing, such as being a doctor, a nurse, a psychologist, that sort of thing. So if you have a lot of Virgo in your chart, let me know down below. I think you guys will really enjoy this message. But so before we do the pile selection, I want to talk to you guys about the story of Chiron. It's really interesting. He's actually a god from Greek mythology, and his story is fascinating, and I think there's a lot of metaphorical and a lot of symbolism in his life story that will help you tap into the energy of the reading. And it's also just kind of fun to learn a little bit together, learn a little bit of astrology. So we'll do that and then we'll get into the pile selection. You're welcome to skip the learning portion of the video if you'd like, although I highly recommend it. But timestamps for everything will be down below, okay? So if you want to skip on to the pile selection, feel free to do so. All right, I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know what astrology and tarot video you would like me to cover next. I will see you at your piles. Love you. So Chiron was born in the midst of a lot of pain and turmoil. He was the product of an extramarital affair, and not only that, but an unwanted extramarital affair. His father forced intercourse upon the mother, who did not want to be pregnant, and it resulted in her pregnancy with Chiron. And when she gave birth to Chiron, he was a centaur. So she was this sea nymph. His father was Cronus, the god of the Titans, but he disguised himself as a stallion when he had intercourse with her. So the product was this baby that was half human, half stallion, centaur. And because his mother didn't want this pregnancy, didn't want this intercourse with Cronus, she had a very negative experience and a lot of pain in childbirth, and she abandoned Chiron once giving birth to him. She looked at him in disgust as a monster and just left him to die, basically. But fortunately, Chiron was discovered by Apollo, another god in Greek mythology, and Apollo took him under his wing and raised him kind of as his own and taught him a lot about the healing arts and music and prophecy. And Apollo had a twin sister, Artemis, the goddess of archery and hunting, and she taught Chiron how to do those things. And Chiron was extremely intelligent. He excelled in every single field that he was taught in. And he was known in Greek mythology as the god that invented pharmacy, medicine, surgery. And that's why a lot of astrologers believe that Chiron, this asteroid, is a co-ruler of Virgo because Virgo is associated with those same things. So because Chiron was so intelligent and had soaked up so much knowledge in so many different fields, he was sought after as a tutor. And he tutored some of the greats in Greek mythology, like Perseus and Jason and Achilles, who he had a really special bond with. Another interesting tidbit in Chiron's story is that he actually raised one of Apollo's children for him. Apollo had impregnated a princess, Coronis, who betrayed him, and Apollo's twin sister, who's very close with him, kind of killed her and the man she was having an affair with in a rage. But Apollo was able to perform a cesarean section and retrieve his baby, his child, before the child died. And he actually handed the child off to Chiron and said, please, raise my child for me. And that child became the god of medicine. So in Greek mythology, centaurs were kind of known for their unbridled lust and violence, like their very animalistic nature. But Apollo, who was the foster father to Chiron, taught Chiron a lot about culture and restraint and things that we associate with humans being able to do versus animals. And Chiron was often depicted in drawings and paintings being clothed rather than naked, which was unusual for a centaur to do. And sometimes in certain paintings, he even had part of his legs were human versus just all being stallion legs. And so later on in Chiron's life, he got caught in the middle of this battle that he really wasn't supposed to be in. And it involved a lot of drunken centaurs and angry gods. And he was accidentally struck by an arrow. And even though Chiron was extremely knowledgeable, extremely skilled, really with everything, able to heal others in unbelievable ways, he was unable to heal his own wounds. And it became unbearably painful, just a constant pain in his thigh where it struck him. But Chiron wasn't able to die because his father, remember, was a god. So Chiron was immortal. So he had to just kind of live with this pain for eternity, basically. So eventually what happened was there was this other god, Prometheus, who had been bound for eternity to this rock because he stole fire from the gods and he delivered it to humankind. He wanted to help humans with fire, and that was against the rules, okay? So he was going to be punished to pain for eternity. Prometheus was. And so Chiron actually struck a deal with Zeus and said, look, if you will release Prometheus from this eternity of pain that you've bound him to because he helped humans with fire, I will give you my immortality. Allow me to die so that he no longer has to suffer. And so Zeus agreed to this deal, and Chiron became immortal, basically, and eventually died and was able to escape the pain of his leg, of his wound that he couldn't heal, but also at the same time do a really good deed for humanity and for Prometheus, who had helped humanity with fire. And after Chiron's death, Zeus kept up with his deal of the bargain. He freed Prometheus, and he actually fixed Chiron in the constellation of Sagittarius for eternity. So Chiron is twice wounded. Once at birth, his mother abandoned him, and then again towards the end of his life when he was wounded by that arrow and was going to have to live eternity in pain. So his first wound was kind of this deep emotional wound that comes from being that child rejected by his parents, being a product of rape, being viewed as a monster, an orphan, an outcast. And then Chiron's second wound is caused by the superego with that battle that he got pulled into. And he was hurt once again by someone who he thought was supposed to be a friend that kind of stuck him in the middle of this mess and wounded him accidentally. So Chiron is a really rare and unique instance of a god who dies, who chooses to die, actually. Kind of like Jesus, some people compare this story to. But even in dying, he gives himself up to another. He saved Prometheus. So just like he kind of poured his life into wisdom, art, and love, he poured his death into an act of service and sacrifice for others. And so the story of Chiron is kind of a story of how we might be able to cope with the psychological distress and the eventual physical defeat that is part of the human condition. Chiron turned in particular to the healing arts as a means of healing his own psychological wounds and emotional wounds, but also others as well. So he shines light, giving to others that which he himself most needed or needs. Rather than letting that original wound from childhood fester and pull him down, he finds a source of motivation within it, a source of inspiration, and it led him to a lot of great insight and achievement. And so he teaches us how we can find a sense of purpose, service, and duty to enrich our lives in the ways that, the other centaurs in this story could not even imagine. So Chiron was this beautiful blend between our animalistic nature and our spirit nature, our godlike nature, and how powerful that can be not only for ourselves, but for others. Okay, so let's talk about Chiron through the houses of the natal chart just really briefly. So, Chiron in astrology in our natal chart is associated with the emotional wounds that we receive early on in our lives. And the sign that Chiron is in will dominate, but the house placement will kind of show in which area the person, being you or I, is motivated and where they will put their efforts, where they can become a healer for others. So if Chiron's in your first house, it can show a journey of self-discovery. Maybe there were restrictions in early childhood that have had an effect on you, either retreating into yourself or having to fight to be noticed. There will be a need to find personal meaning in your existence. And some will do this by being overly aggressive, and others will do this by withdrawing. Having a job or interest that's really enjoyed will definitely give a positive direction to your life if you have Chiron in the first. So Chiron in the second house can indicate great self-confidence so long as there are physical comforts, money. There may have been little or no affection or maybe even inappropriate affection in childhood. And this could now be shown through stubbornness and a dismissive attitude to others' opinions. You could end up being a great teacher of self-worth when you've dealt with your own emotional trauma and issues. Chiron in the third house may indicate, but perhaps unintentionally, criticism by parents or siblings about the way you expressed yourself, producing a lack of self-confidence. There may have been some injury to your voice, or you might have been too shy to speak. Your thoughts and words may take time to be expressed so that they are correct, and any errors you make will be excused so as not to appear to be in the wrong. Do not let yourself be hampered by technicalities and learn to admit to mistakes. Chiron in the fourth house may indicate an insecure early family life, so much so that feelings of abandonment or being the black sheep may persist. A lack of self-confidence may make you think doing anything with your life is a waste of time, and you probably have a lot of time for other people as well as great empathy. Try to bring out the unique you by using this feeling of being different. Chiron in the fifth house may indicate a feeling of having to take life too seriously too early on. You are easily deflated due probably to parents who told you that you could not do that, though you would have known that you could. There will be a need to draw boundaries for ego survival, though do not go so far as to cut yourself off from people completely. You're very creative, but you don't recognize it. You've got to just do it, just go for it. Chiron in the sixth house may indicate a preoccupation with health issues, maybe to do with accidents when you were young. You tend to obsess about your own health. You have a great healing ability, though, and when you've come to the point of dealing with your own issues, you will achieve great success in this field of health and wellness. Chiron in the seventh house may indicate a feeling of rejection that has to do with relationships. Maybe the parents split up or were distant with one another. You might marry early on, and there may be more than one marriage or close relationship at least. You're quite empathic and even psychic, and there is a need for finding a balance between you and your partner. You are not one person, so find yourself in the midst of your partnerships. Chiron in the eighth house may indicate losses through the death of loved ones, but also gains through births. Personal desires will be very important to you to the point of like anything goes. You will have psychic abilities that, when trained, can be a great force for good, and you could be a mystic with great insight. Chiron in the ninth house may indicate some sort of crisis to do with spiritual teachings, a strong belief of one sort or another that must be channeled correctly to give the right balance. Being the eternal student should be enjoyable, not stressful, so take time to relax. You could be a very good teacher if your extreme opinions are modified. Chiron in the 10th house may indicate a strong desire to prove your self-worth because of childhood rejection. Your need for status may become obsessive, and your good leadership qualities need to be controlled. Improving the lot of others close to you is admirable, but not if it brings you down. It will only make you feel resentful and bitter. Try to accept yourself as you are. Chiron in the 11th house may indicate rejection from peers because of being different. You may feel some sort of discomfort in large groups, so you only associate with people who are like-minded to you. You have a capacity for leadership if only you could loosen up a little bit with strangers. We are, after all, connected to everything and everyone. You have a special thing to do in this life. You just have to realize what it is. Chiron in the 12th house may indicate nervous tension, perhaps picked up from a close family member. You probably have psychic, empathic, and healing abilities. Don't keep shutting yourself off from people. They need your unique abilities. Help others by learning to use these gifts of yours. It will give great personal benefit, but you will need to be emotionally strong and mature. So you all, now with an overview of Chiron's story and a few examples of how it manifests in a natal chart, let's get to our pile selection. And I want you to close your eyes, tap into your higher self, ask Chiron for guidance, and determine which pile is calling to you. And of course, you could have more than one pile calling your name. You're welcome to listen to both. But timestamps for all the piles will be down below, and I will meet you all there. Love you guys. Hey, pile one, welcome to your reading. Let's take a look at what message Chiron has for you. So I want to start with rolling the die, and then we'll take a look at the card topper you all gravitated towards. All right, Chiron, what message do you have for group one? All right, we have Uranus in the 4th house in Aquarius. So Uranus actually rules Aquarius. It's a co-ruler along with Saturn. The 4th house is about our home life, our private life, our family, our childhood, our ancestry, our roots, our past. Uranus is kind of like the rebel. He's a bit of a weirdo even, like he's just very authentic and very forward and progressive thinking. And he's not real emotional. He likes to use logic. He likes to take action. He doesn't do much based on emotions. And Aquarius is the same thing. It's sort of this scientific, forward-thinking, rebellious, proactive kind of energy. So Chiron wants to talk to you about this aspect of yourself, especially when it comes to your connections to your family and kind of who you are in your private life with family, friends, loved ones. Maybe some of you kind of have always felt like the black sheep of the family, for example. Something like that Uranus wants to touch on, but we'll get into it as we look through the rest of the cards. Let's take a look at the card topper. Now, this is one of my favorite stones. This is opal. And actually my wedding band, which I haven't been wearing because I need to get it fixed. It has opal stones in it, but one of them fell out. But yeah, my wedding band has opal in it because I just love this stone, like the rainbow colors in it, just gorgeous. Okay, let's read the back of this. At the bottom here, it says, feel all your feels. Who needs it? The all-black wardrobe set can benefit from the black precious opal's bold pop of color and spiritual protection. Not so prolific artists can ride fire opal's burn. When to use it? When you have something that needs to get moving, a project, a relationship, an energetic block. So this is interesting. Now I'm seeing with the die and with this, like you do have this very progressive, proactive energy within you, but there is a blockage because there is a resistance to your own emotions, or a resistance to look back on the past and reflect on the past. It almost feels like what you want to do when something negative or bad happens, or once you decide that this is no longer what I want to be dealing with, I'm done. It's almost like you're just out and you never look back. And I'm sure that's been positive for you in a lot of ways. There's always moments in our life when that's exactly what we need to do. But especially in more traumatic situations, it's always important that once we find our safety, we get to where we need to make sure we're safe, that we allow ourselves some time to kind of reflect back on what has happened, to let ourselves feel what we need to feel, grieve, and just really connect with those emotions and let them flow and get out. If we don't do that, there can be a blockage in our heart chakra, disconnecting us from our emotions, and it can lead us to create a life that ends up feeling very unfulfilling, but we don't know why. Fulfillment has everything to do with the emotions. Fulfillment is about emotional well-being, emotional peace. And if we are cut off from our emotions, then we can't feel that, we can't experience that. So there's something that needs to be healed, I think, from your childhood. That's honestly what I'm seeing here. Maybe something that you don't even think you need to heal from, because you might be that far disconnected. And it's going to help you create your own stable home life and private life. A home life that feels fulfilling, a family that you feel connected to, balance, harmony, okay? Right now I'm seeing a lot of scrambling in your home life. A lot of kind of erratic sort of busyness, or just almost like this energy of, it almost feels like you can't really sit still. Like when you do, you kind of just want to like move something, clench your fist, rub your legs, something, okay? And so Chiron for you guys may be in your 4th house. It could be in Aquarius. I could also see it being in the 8th house or the 12th house, okay? So again, this represents an area of your life that you're supposed to face. You're supposed to try and understand and heal from it in a way so that you can help guide others. You could actually become a healer for others in this aspect of their life. Okay, let's get into the tarot, and then we will look at the rest of the oracle cards. I've got 2 different tarot decks I'm using here. Okay, we have the Lovers. This is Gemini energy. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles, Earth energy. So Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Let's look at this deck here. Oh, wow, we have the Lovers again. It's in reverse here. That's crazy. 3 of Wands. Ace of Hearts, beautiful. And Queen of Wands in reverse. So this is fire energy. So you all could be a fire sign, a Leo, a Sagittarius, an Aries. Or some of you could have had a relationship actually with a fire sign that is stagnated, or it's almost like you're trying to revive it. I feel like some of you are still in that relationship and just feel like you're losing something or something isn't clicking, okay? And actually, I feel like you keep looking at the relationship, or even if it's that a relationship has been lost, your focus is on this current relationship, this relationship that's occurred more for you in like your adult life. But Chiron's saying, look, before you can heal this, you've got to look back at this. This connection here, it goes back further. It's connected. The way you're handling it, the way you approach it is from something actually in your past that hasn't been dealt with, okay? So with the Lovers card coming up twice, the Lovers represents that moment in our life where we make the decision to start our own life, where we reach that age where we're no longer under our parents' roof, where we no longer have to abide by our parents' rules and values, but we can now choose our own, and we can be whoever we want to be. We can create the type of home life that we want to have. We have that power and that choice because we're at that level of maturity. So it is a card about making a choice. And it's also a card about compromising and kind of blending, because in the card, it's always represented with like a couple that's getting married. And there's going to be differences between those 2 couples because both of them came from totally different backgrounds and upbringings. They also have their own personalities and preferences. So it's about that adult phase of our life where we're like in a real relationship, which takes real work, compromise, commitment, and a choice to wake up every day and continue loving that person and trying to blend your your two selves together, okay, and create what it is you want to create. And I see here with the Ten of Pentacles that there's also a big focus on kind of, you guys are thinking about your future legacy, the generations that are supposed to come after you and what's going to be left for them. And have I set them up for success, whether it's your kids or maybe a business that you're establishing. Like you're really, yeah, at a phase in life where you're trying to create stability, especially financial stability for yourself. And I feel like things look stable, I'll be honest. They look financially stable for you. Things look good, but it feels like you're not feeling it, okay? So there could have been, for some of you, I feel like this kind of wounding from childhood has to do with a mother figure who may have also been a fire sign. It feels female to me, and it feels like someone in your life who kind of, it doesn't have to be female though, but they kind of, it almost seems like they weren't looking at your love, okay? Like they didn't see it. If you look at these two cards here, we have this Ace of Cups, which kind of represents the emotions, our emotions, but then you'll see this card's next to it, but this woman, she's looking in the opposite direction. I feel like this is you. And it's funny because what I'm hearing from Chiron is that a lot of you actually didn't realize there was a wounding here. You actually thought the wounding was associated with a fatherly figure, a masculine figure in your life. So I feel like it's something that you're overlooking, you've overlooked, you've brushed underneath the rug, and it has to do with this feminine figure in your life. And this feels like she was very Aquarius in nature, kind of emotionally disconnected, or may have looked away, may have walked away, may have separated from you in a sense. And it's not even that it was necessarily something traumatic. Like in the moment when these things happened in your childhood, you may have handled it very like maturely, didn't feel like it affected you much. But what I'm seeing here is it did. It affected you in the sense that you strategically learned how to, let me just shut off those emotions. Nope, I'm good. Now I don't feel anything, which isn't good when you grow and you start a life of your own, you get into romantic relationships of your own, or you're trying to create a life that feels good to you. If those emotions are shut off, you can't, it's hard to move forward. So I do see that this wounding has affected your, not just like your home life and private life, but I think even your romantic relationships or any of your one-on-one committed relationships, perhaps even friendships. I feel like there's a lot that you overlook, maybe red flags that you miss, maybe boundaries that you don't protect enough. Yeah, because you're so disconnected from what you feel that it's easy for you to kind of just let things keep happening and it's okay, I can handle it, everything's fine. Meanwhile, something really feels off, but you can't quite work out what it is, okay? So what Chiron's wanting you to learn how to do is to create stability in your life emotionally, not just financially, not physically. He's wanting you to look at the spiritual and emotional aspect of your life and create a legacy from that. Because I do see that you're very focused on kind of the outside things, the outside perspectives, not having debts, having a good income, owning a home. Those are all great things for stability as well, but what good is all of that if you don't feel right at the end of the day, if something feels off, if you can't sit still and just breathe? And so that's kind of what this purpose Chiron's trying to serve for you in your life is how to become stable, how to build a good foundation of emotional well-being, what that means, what kind of work and effort does that take to do that? Because I feel like you were raised in a household where emotions weren't really talked about, weren't really brought up. You didn't learn those things. And so that's kind of what you're supposed to learn into adulthood through Chiron. And that's going to be a big learning curve for you. It's going to be emotionally exhausting for you, I think, as well. But it's going to be good, and it's going to make you feel like you have this deep sense of purpose within you, and you're going to be able to heal other people. And maybe you guys already do. The interesting thing about Chiron is sometimes we already start healing people in the area of life that Chiron falls into our chart. We already start healing other people in that area. We're really great at giving other people advice when it comes to that area, but we can't quite figure it out when it comes to ourselves. That is a big theme with Chiron. So for example, if some of you've got Chiron in your 7th house of marriage or your 4th house of home and foundation, you may be really great at giving your friends marriage advice, relationship advice, telling them how to create stability and a foundation in their life, but not be able to see. It can kind of be a blind spot of I'm I'm giving the advice to everyone else, but I'm not able to see that I actually need to take my own advice in this area too. So that's something else Chiron's wanting you to be aware of. Try and give yourself the same advice and love and understanding as you do for others in this area of their lives. Okay, let's look at some, let's flip over the oracle cards. Okay, we have card number 20. I love this deck. I don't use it often, but I'll read this one to you. It's a rose. Then we have Mercury. Mercury rules Gemini. We've got strong Gemini energy here, as well as Virgo. We have the rhinoceros. It says, still the chatter within to see your true path in life. Yes, sit still, be still. And then we have the goddess card. This says, the feminine expressed through wisdom, nature, life force, and sensuality. Okay, let's look at this rose card here. Okay, so the quote on the card says, of all his creatures, God alone can stand on his own. Never be too vain or proud. Accept the advice of people who love you and stay away from cunning and hatred. Love yourself and be fair with others. Okay, now let's read the rhinoceros card. All right. It says, ancient behemoth, repository of primordial wisdoms. Rhino, like supreme masters, has no need for society. Rhino stands sturdily in your cards to counsel that you still the constant chatter in your head. Take time out from hectic socializing and simply be. At first, your mind will echo with 1,000 thoughts, but soon it will quieten, and the true nature of your path and dreams will make themselves known. And with Rhino by your side, you may turn them into reality. Okay, wow. So that card is really making me think that those of you who chose this pile would be really great in some sort of a healing industry, an industry that is either healing for others or with Mercury here is very communicative, leads others in some way in regards to communication. So really Chiron for you, I would take a look at it in your chart because it's somehow connected to your actual purpose in life, I think career-wise. So yeah, take a look at the house, the sign that it's in. Yeah, even this rhinoceros card saying the same thing I've kind of been saying here, that there's this uneasiness with this group, where it feels like you guys are always kind of fidgeting or on edge or always kind of moving around. And it's this, you're trying to escape healing this, really, trying to escape this sort of wound. Or it's also another part of it is that you're so kind of disconnected from your emotions, you're disconnected from your well-being. So it's constantly like trying to get yourself comfortable is what it feels like. You're just constantly moving and just trying to get yourself comfortable. Okay, so the rose here is talking about being a little too proud, which is the opposite of vulnerability. Chiron really needs us to be vulnerable in the area of life that he presents himself to us in, because without that vulnerability, there is no healing. You know, it'd be like if I had a cut on my leg and I go to the doctor to get it stitched, but refuse to take my clothes off because I don't want to be naked at the doctor's office. That feels too vulnerable to me. It's like, okay, you can keep the jeans on or you can get this stitched up. Like the clothes have got to come off. You've got to get vulnerable in order for us to take care of this. It kind of feels like you guys are just wanting to keep the jeans on. You're just avoiding the doctor. You have this weird, not weird, it's common, but this, you don't really like getting vulnerable. It makes it hard for you. And so then when vulnerable emotions start to arise in you, they get replaced with more defiant emotions like anger, irritation, pessimism, because those are a little rougher. You know, those emotions aren't vulnerable. They aren't soft. They aren't sensitive. They aren't weak, you know. So your emotions get replaced with that instead. And then I think that causes you some trouble in the relationships where you do allow that to come out. And there's also I see like a hard time for you in finding friendships or relationships in general where you really feel connected in those relationships. Because that connection is going to come from being open and vulnerable with someone and them accepting you with love and giving you guidance and advice. And then you do the same for them. Feels like you guys are always kind of putting yourself in the position or the role of the teacher, the leader. And I do think you help a lot of people. But for your private life, your relationship should be more, balanced, more equal, more of a give and take. But in order for that to happen for you, you're going to have to start getting vulnerable with people. You're going to have to open up, show your soft spots, show your underbelly. So that's what Chiron's here to help you with. And that's kind of the guidance that he's wanting to give you. I mean, Mercury, it represents that communication. Talk it out, open up, analyze it, take a look at this, go back into the past a bit and really kind of try and connect the dots of, maybe I inherited this from mom, maybe this from dad, maybe this situation did affect me more than I realized. But also not just the analytics of it, but really allowing yourself to feel the things that you don't want to feel. For some of you, it's that you don't want to feel angry at the people who wounded you in childhood because you think that that means that you're saying that they're a bad person. When in reality, no, you can be angry about something that occurred in your childhood and also forgive it, but at least let yourself feel the anger. Let yourself admit to yourself that, you know what, that was wrong. What happened was wrong. I would not have done that. That's not okay. The little child inside of me was hurting, was scared, was nervous, was worried, and was trying to protect me from feeling that. That doesn't mean that you now have got to cut off that relationship from your life, or that you hate this person, or that you're not looking at the more mature perspective. No, you can see all sides of something and also feel what you need to feel. So don't keep avoiding that situation. The Goddess card here at the end too is just showing, I mean, does she look fulfilled or what? And this is a card that really represents sensuality, like the emotional connection that we can have with our physical world. Which for me, I feel like you guys feel very earthy as people or very concerned with the physical, like what I touched on, but you don't feel connected to it, right? It feels dull, something feels dry. But with this goddess energy, this is a woman who is very connected to the food she eats, the fabrics that she sleeps on, the trees outside, the animals around her, like her physical environment emotionally pleases and fulfills her, even her own body. And so that's what Chiron's trying to lead you to, this energy of like, the goddess, this sensual sort of energy of really being able to take full pleasure and awe in everything you've created for yourself. The house that you live in, the money in the bank account, the car that you drive, the food that you cook for yourself, like really being able to like, this feels so good. That's what Chiron wants for you, and that's what he's trying to heal. So try and do what you can to like, either therapy is a great option because therapists are really good at helping you dig and uncover your blind spots. But if you can't do therapy, then at least kind of getting some books or maybe journaling, self-reflecting, opening up to people, choosing someone to get vulnerable with, see what that feels like. That's all really going to help you at this time. But I will leave you all here. Let me know down below how you felt about the reading, what astrology and tarot video you would like to see next. Do you want a message from the moon, from the sun, from Venus? What is it? Let me know. I love you guys, and I will see you in next week's reading. Bye. Hey Pile 2, welcome to your reading. Can't wait to see what message Chiron has for you, what guidance and advice that he has, what he's trying to heal within you. Let's start with rolling the die, and then we'll take a look at the card topper you all gravitated towards. All right, Chiron, what message do you have for group 2? All right, we have Jupiter in Aries in the first house. So Aries is typically associated with the first house. It's the first sign of the zodiac, so very fitting. And Aries and the first house are all about the self, your own identity, what it is you want in life, kind of pioneering something, pushing things forward. Aries really likes to take action. And Jupiter here normally rules Sagittarius and Pisces. It's a very spiritual energy. Jupiter helps build kind of our moral compass, our moral code, and he wants to expand and grow upon things. He wants to explore new areas. So I feel like Chiron may be in your first house for some of you, or it could be in Aries, but I feel like Chiron's wanting to help you discover your true self, your true identity. It feels like there's areas of yourself that haven't been uncovered yet. There's areas of yourself that are deserving of being expanded upon, of growing in certain areas of your own self. So I feel like there is an identity shift that's meant to occur with you all. and Chiron. So we'll see as we get more into the reading, but let me show you the card topper you all gravitated towards. And this crystal is blue calcite. At the bottom of the card, it says, act on your dreams. Who needs it? People who stare up at the ceiling, worrying about the future at 3 a.m. Are you guys my anxiety group? When to use it? When stress is the enemy. Freaking out is not a prerequisite for accomplishment. Deadlines aren't death sentences. Stress will extinguish your creativity and crush your dreams if you let it. Call on the calming, focused energy of blue calcite to remind you to put stress in its place, far away from the joy of the process and the delight of dreaming big. Okay, so it seems like you guys may talk yourself out of things, or maybe certain things that like you thought about doing, always thought it would be nice, but you talk yourself out. And this could even come down to like superficial things. Maybe you've always wanted to try like short hair or blue hair or get a tattoo, but it's always like, that sounds really interesting and cool, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not me. So it feels like there's a lot of little things like that that you don't allow yourself to explore. You don't even go down that avenue because stress or anxiety or overthinking comes in, or insecurity, and you think, no, that's not me. I couldn't pull that off. I'm not one of those like cool people that does things like that or presents themselves that way. And Chiron's like, no, look, there's so much about yourself to be discovered. You are meant to kind of explore so many different areas and things in your life that you soak up all these experiences and you become this source of wisdom for other people. That's what Jupiter represents. He's kind of like this wise sage. And with this being in the first house on the die, like that's you. But how do you become a wise sage if you have no experiences? Wisdom is gained through new experiences, and that only. So if you're cutting yourself off from experiences, shying away from that, you're not gaining the wisdom that you're meant to gain. Obviously, for those of you who gravitated towards this group, Chiron represents an area of your life, maybe your upbringing, your childhood, the people who raised you, or just society that made you feel like you had to fit in a certain type of box, maybe in order to be accepted or because of these deep-rooted insecurities, okay? You have to fit in a certain box. You don't want to overshine or shine too much. That upsets people. So you ended up becoming this very like vanilla sort of person. And I'm not saying that I actually love vanilla. It's my favorite ice cream, but that is a phrase people use when they're kind of talking about, something or someone that's very not controversial, but also very kind of bland, kind of boring in a way. So it feels like that's where Chiron is supposed to come in, help you heal this so that you can become kind of the colorful, unique, exciting, maybe a bit controversial person that you're supposed to be. Okay, so let's take a look at the tarot cards and then we'll get into the oracles. I have a couple different decks I used here. All right, we have the High Priestess, beautiful, as well as the King of Wands. So High Priestess, it's got the moon on it, kind of represents Cancer energy to me because Cancer is ruled by the moon. And then King of Wands, that's fire energy, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And so I see here with the High Priestess being in reverse that there is this, there's almost a resistance to your spiritual path toward kind of believing in things that aren't yet seen, okay? Manifestation specifically, because manifesting something is all about dreaming it first and then creating it. But it seems like you guys take this very sort of realistic, no-nonsense approach in your thinking, and it does cut you off from dreaming big in a lot of areas of your life. For you, it's like, I'll believe it when I see it. But there's certain things in life that we have to believe in before we can see it. So in your outside day-to-day reality, you have this sort of King of Wands energy that is very passionate, very fiery. Some of you may be, you guys seem like the type of people that people just really like being around. People enjoy your energy. You're probably very good at kind of hosting people or entertaining people when you need to, making them feel at home, comfortable. I feel like you guys have good smiles, a nice laugh. You come off as this very, at least you come off as a very joyous sort of person, especially when you're around others. And you come off as also very creative too. But it feels like a lot of that creative energy gets kind of pent up and kind of discarded and thrown away because that creativity is supposed to be used towards dreaming big and then going after it and creating something. But it ends up getting wasted instead because you don't really think you can use it for that. So maybe you waste it on, I don't know, other outlets to kind of spark your creativity. Maybe it's watching lots of movies and videos. Maybe it's kind of relaxing with alcohol or a cigarette. You know, these sorts of things kind of release that creative energy, like as an outlet, a relaxant for this fiery energy of yours, because you don't really, you just, I don't know, it's like you don't believe in yourself in a sense. That's really what it comes down to. You don't believe in the universe and life and yourself to really expand and explore all the aspects of your identity. Okay, let's flip over the other tarot cards. All right, now we have Prince of Wands, so more fire energy. Five of Hearts, okay. And Five of Pentacles, 2 5s, you guys. And then we have the Eight of Hearts. Okay, I get you guys. Now I'm seeing the whole story here. So it looks like you guys had a really harsh reality check. I think in your late teens or even your early 20s. For some of you, this was like a devastating breakup. For others of you, it was a very unexpected, maybe unwanted pregnancy. For some of you, it was a big financial loss that affected your, whatever it was, I do see here that it affected your lifelong goals, your education, your career goals. Somehow, whether it was the depression or the circumstances in your life that had changed, you know, money being tight, it cut you off from what you were dreaming about doing. So that was a really, really harsh reality check. It was like where you felt like, okay, I get how life works now. Like life sucks and then you die. So might as well just enjoy what I can while I'm here, but no more trying to dream big or plan long term, because I've learned now that that doesn't work. No use in doing that. I feel like when you were younger, you were the type of person that would like to like create out like 5-year plans, a bucket list, you know, this is what I'm going to do. And that kind of stopped, didn't it, after this experience for you? You were like, nope, that's, you know, dreaming is for kids. I've lived life long enough to know that there's no use in that. But Chiron's saying, look, this was your wounding, right? You were supposed to kind of experience this wound of, is life too harsh to dream big? Are certain things just simply impossible? You know, does life kind of throw a wrench in situations at times? Yeah, but you know what? I can still dream again. Sometimes my dreams won't be realized. Sometimes I will be heartbroken. Sometimes I'll experience a loss. But you know what? I'd rather at least experience than to live life stagnated, stuck, doing the same thing every single day. So you know what? I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be courageous, and I'm going to dream again. And if life knocks me down, I'll just stand back up again. So that's kind of what Chiron represents in your life, kind of this area of life where you find the determination to keep dreaming big, to keep pushing yourself forward, undoing that box that you've been placed in and going bigger, doing things that you never thought you could have done, but doing it anyways. Now, does this mean that once you guys start dreaming again and planning again, that everything's going to be smooth sailing, that nothing unexpected or even devastating might happen? No, it doesn't mean that. But with Chiron's help, you're going to be the type of person that kind of go with the flow of things, keep pushing forward anyways. You know, maybe one dream goes away, but another one will replace it, you know, but got to keep that imagination, keep dreaming, keep expanding. Jupiter's all about prosperity, optimism. Jupiter likes to focus on the bright side. That's what Chiron's here to help you with. Okay, let's look at the oracle cards. Okay, we have card number 12. We have Saturn. We have the Cobra. This card says, change is inevitable, but with it comes the chance to shed a burden. How perfect is that for what we've been talking about? Okay, and then we have the Scribe. And this says, preserving knowledge and information. Okay, I want to read you the message on this golden card. I love this deck. I don't use it often enough. Okay, so this is Ivy. Okay, the quote on the card says, nothing is sweeter, nothing surer than the comfort of pure friendship. Look around, because a friend or someone you love will help you, support you, and will be faithful. You will be helped and favored by someone close to you. Love that. So Jupiter does kind of represent the wise sage, you know, someone with a lot of wisdom. So for you all, there could be kind of an elderly person in your life, or even if you guys are the same age, like just someone with more wisdom than you, that is going to help you, help give advice, help guide you. It could even be like an author of a great self-help book or a certain YouTube channel, if someone who has a YouTube channel or following, that could really help you. But I also am seeing in this card too that these situations, because for each of you it's different, that gave you this shocking reality check in life were a lot harder for you to get through, because I don't see that you guys are the type of people that have a large, meaningful friendship group. You guys seem very social and very likable. Like, people like you. I feel like you guys are the type to have more acquaintances than actual friendships. So you put all of your emotional stock into your romantic relationships or into like your family of origin, but you don't have those same deep, profound connections when it comes to friends, friendship groups. So it's like if you lose your romantic partner, if you lose a parent, for example, or a sibling, for you, your whole world comes crashing down. That's your entire world. And so I do see that Chiron's advising you to try and put yourself out there and try and find some friends, make some new friends that you really click with and that can help be an outlet, a source of joy and happiness for you. Help expand your life. Don't pour all your life into one focused area. That's when things can get dangerous, because we are at risk of losing, really anything. Life can throw us curveballs. We can't see it coming. And if all of our entire life is focused on one area, whether that be my life is all about work, or my life is all about my kids, or it's all about my spouse, or it's all about my health, for example, just working out and health habits, my routine. Then when we lose that one thing, if something happens and we lose that one thing, it can really push us to the edge, because that one thing is our everything. Okay. So Chiron's wanting you to use this Jupiter energy here and expand your life. Have more areas of your life with things going for it. Don't put all your eggs into one basket. Okay, let's read the Cobra card here. Let's see if I should have turned the page to this before I did your pile, because I have a hard time finding these cards in the book. Okay, I found it. It says, incomparable, charismatic snake, guardian of water and savior of grain. Cobra counsels you, consider your fundamental needs, feeding your body with energized whole foods and walking amongst nature. For change and rebirth are now inevitable and require your vitality. Fear not the future, for as Cobra sloughs her old skin, so will you shed that which holds you back. Look carefully at the meaning of desire before letting its deep sexual energy free, for as Cobra knows only that which is given in mutual love can transform. Okay, so it looks like life, for those of you who chose pile 2, is about to transform, or Chiron's trying to help you transform, expand, and take the advice on the card. Go outside, experience the world, feel the sunlight. I feel like a lot of you that chose this pile really need some sort of hobby as well that can just help take up your time, expand your interests. Like, you guys are meant to become interesting people, not people that fit into a box. And interesting people have hobbies. Interesting people always have new experiences, stories to tell. So pick up that hobby, or join that volunteer group, or sign up and enroll in that class, something. But push your boundaries, because it makes life a little bit more stable. If our life is built on a foundation of just 4 sticks, then losing that one stick, the whole house comes down, all of life comes down. But if you've got like 100 different sticks underneath the foundation of your house, your life, one stick being lost, nothing's going to crash and burn, and you'll have time to go look out for another stick to replace it, and the house will still be standing. That's kind of what Chiron's wanting you to do with your life. You should have your hands in a lot of different baskets. You should be involved in all sorts of interesting activities, meeting new people, creating new friendships. All these things are going to help shape you and your own identity. Because I feel like at the core, you're not really certain what your identity is. And maybe you've been searching for your identity through these picket card readings, through self-reflection. But what I'm hearing from Chiron is your identity is going to be discovered through experiences in the outside world, interacting with the outside world, not with yourself, okay? The scribe here says preserving knowledge and information. So again, that's showing me that you guys are meant to be wise people. Some of you would be great astrologers, authors, historians, or even just teachers. But you're meant to kind of be this well of knowledge and information, and to somehow record it, write it down, keep track of it. Maybe it's just in conversation with others. For some of you, it will be used in your career. A lot of you are meant to have, Chiron showing me, like houses filled with lots of different scrapbooks, photo albums from all your experiences and things. Don't just keep the photos on your phone, like do something with it. Turn it into something tangible, a tangible piece of your history, okay? And if you don't have anything to take photos of because we're not really doing anything, okay, it's time to book that vacation, book that trip, take your camera, take the photos. They really want you to do a scrapbook, to be honest, of something. That's the type of life that you're supposed to have. A lot of good record keeping. You know, you guys are meant to be the people that once you reach your 60s and 70s, you're writing a book about your life to be passed down to your children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. You're supposed to have a life of interesting things that people in generations of your family want to read and say, oh my gosh, wow, I can't believe grandma or grandpa did this or that, okay? An interesting person. And Saturn here, this is, I do feel that a lot of you had a very strong authority figure in your life, like a male authority figure. Could represent society in general, but I think maybe your father or the male older brother, someone who kind of took a hand in raising you, seemed very strict and very, almost like their love was quite conditional. So it's like, oh, I really need to make sure I'm this way and not that way in order to earn their favor. And I think that's what got you really lost in, like, who am I exactly though? I know that I do this because it kept my parents happy, or that I act this way because it keeps my boss happy. But what am I when those people aren't around? Like, who am I? So you're kind of in this state of confusion of trying to discover who that is. And maybe you pulled away and went into solitude and thought, I just need to get away from everyone and everything so I can figure out who I am without their influence. But what I'm hearing from Chiron is it's really time to put yourself back out there. It's time to shed a new skin. You've gotten a fresh new perspective. It's time to transform and start interacting with the world together. That's kind of the last piece in your puzzle of self-discovery with your identity, is getting yourself back out there. You should be busy. You should be involved in activities, creative projects, hobbies, all sorts of things, okay? Now is the time. Hope I'm getting you pumped up for it. But I'm going to leave you guys here. Hope you enjoyed this message. Let me know down below your thoughts on it and what video you would like me to do next, either pick a card or the Tarot and Astrology series. Do you want a message from Venus, from Jupiter? What do you guys think? But I will see you guys in next week's tarot reading. Thank you so much for coming. Love you. Hey Group 3, welcome to your reading. Can't wait to see what message Chiron has for you. Where are you meant to heal and overcome and lead others in your life? So let's start with rolling the die as always, and then we'll take a look at the card topper you all gravitated towards. All right, Chiron, what message do you have for Group 3? Okay, we have Venus in Leo in the 8th house. Wow, this is really powerful energy. I'm already just getting off of the die. It's very, very potent. People with Venus and Leo tend to be very dramatic with their emotions, their self-expression, their affection, their love, their joy. And the 8th house is kind of a house of, it's a house of death and transformation, power, occult knowledge, uncovering secrets, and also being able to manipulate and kind of get what you want out of others, kind of like live life off the backs of others in a sense, like know how to get people to buy what it is you want from them, know how to get people to want to treat you with nice things. Like that's all very 8th house stuff. So we'll see kind of what Chiron's wanting you to heal from in regards to that area of your life as we get into the cards. Let's take a look at the card topper you all gravitated towards. Now this stone, at least on this deck, is called Shiva Lingam. I own one of these and it was referred to as the shaman stone. The lady at the spiritual store I bought it from said that ancient shamans would use it to help heal and balance out energies, because all of them are like this, with like, they have this nice little round shape and then like half of the stone is one color and half is another. So it kind of represents a balance between the masculine and feminine energies. Okay, so it says, who needs it? Yoga people or people who hate yoga. When to use it: when your ego has you feeling too small or totally supersized. When it seems like you're sucking life force through a swizzle stick instead of a boba straw. When you've got baby making on your mind. And then it says at the bottom, go all in on your essence. Fits perfectly with the die because Leo is associated with sexuality as well as baby making, like creating children or children in general. And Leo is also associated with the ego, our sense of self, our sense of pride, our self-worth. So perfect with the Leo energy. Okay, let's get into the tarot cards and then we'll look at the rest of the oracles. Okay, we have the moon. It is in reverse. And then we have five of pentacles, and it is also in reverse. Queen of Pentacles, so this is earth energy, so Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Eight of Wands. Four of Swords. And Prince of Hearts in reverse, and this is water energy. The moon is associated with Pisces. I also associate it with Cancer because it does have the moon on it. Prince of Hearts, that's water energy, so Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer as well. Okay, let's look here. So it looks like in a spiritual sense, Chiron is helping to try and guide you through the darker aspects of life, which is what the 8th house represents, as well as the moon. The moon card is about kind of like going on that journey in the darkness, as scary as it may seem, having the courage to keep moving forward. You may uncover a lot of secrets along the way. You may grapple with a lot of internal or psychological fears or phobias along that journey, but you're meant to do it anyways. So I do see that Chiron in your life is somehow connected to these darker aspects of life: death, sex, the occult, spirituality, transformation, transitions, secrets, conspiracy theories, hidden knowledge, power, all these sorts of things. Okay, that's the purpose Chiron's trying to serve in your life. So you may have Chiron in the 8th, and it feels like there was some sort of wounding in your childhood related to power. Feels like someone may have overpowered you. There could have been some sort of abuse that went on. Maybe not even in childhood, but maybe like your first serious relationship, that really wounded you. It made you question your own authority over your life, your sense of self, like your security. Who am I? What am I anyway? Am I deserving of this? Am I deserving of that? Is holding power a negative or bad thing? Like it feels like you may have this twisted view on power. Like people with power, people with wealth, they're evil, they're bad. It may even be subconscious, and it feels like you resist power because you think it's associated with something bad, when in reality, power itself is not bad. It's how you choose to use it. Do you use it for good or do you use it for bad? So in some sense, you're afraid of your own power. You give it away to other people because you're afraid of misusing that power if it's in your hands. And this comes from this psychological or physical wounding from your past that really made you feel worthless. That's the best way to describe it. It left you feeling like you were worth absolutely nothing. And so I see now in your physical day-to-day reality, you're trying to build that worth back up. You're trying to find your place in the world. And you're trying, it's like you're digging for this sense of self-worth. And what's beautiful about this journey that you're on is that once you do heal this, once you allow Chiron to guide you, you're going to be one of those people that helps heal others' sense of self-worth. You're going to heal other people's egos, the bruises that they've received on their egos, the abuse that they went through, and help them find their shine, their self-love. Okay, this is kind of, you're on a journey of self-love here at the end of the day. You guys would also be great with children as well. Yeah. I see here also that there was a lot that it feels like you're kind of going back and forth, vacillating between like, holy crap, a lot of information's coming in, like too much is going on. Some of you may have had repressed memories that are coming up now in dreams, or maybe through therapy, or just maybe in meditation or reflection. And it's like, whew, okay, too much is coming in, it's way too much. And then it'll be like dead still, silence. Everyone's gone. You're in solitude. You've pushed everyone and everything away, and you're just kind of being still. Feels like you kind of go back and forth between these two energies as you're on this journey to kind of like uncover things about yourself. It feels like there are secrets that you've discovered, maybe about your past, certain people in your family. You're uncovering a lot of things, but I do see that you feel very out of balance. Okay. You don't feel like you have the ability to really move forward in your life right now because you know on some level that you've got to heal and balance yourself before you make any major decisions, or you're going to go off track. And I think that's a good choice. Okay. I see that this healing process is kind of swirling around, or I'm seeing like this figure 8. Okay. So what I'm hearing from Chiron is that this healing process you're in, it's a never ending process. Okay. You're always going to be healing. Building back up your security and sense of self. We all do. That's just life, okay? I do see it's more intense right now, but part of me thinks that you are kind of waiting for this journey to end. Like, okay, I'm going to wait until this energy fluctuation stops. I just need to like heal everything I need to heal so I can move forward. And once all the healing is done, then I can start moving forward. Although right now, yes, the energy is too heavy. There's a lot of self-discovery going on, a lot of healing going on. I wouldn't recommend you moving forward. At some point in the next few months, it will be time for you to start making changes, making decisions, even in the midst of this process. Okay. And another thing I'm hearing from Chiron is you're always going to be someone that has to remind yourself of your worth. Okay. It feels like you get into this place of worthlessness quite easily. That's never going to go away completely, okay? You're never going to be an arrogant, egotistical person. That's what Chiron's trying to say here. Don't beat yourself up so much for having these insecurities, needing those a little bit of compliments because you're feeling a bit low. That is a way better, that creates at least you're a humble person. It's a way better option than being an egotistical maniac who's super arrogant and full of themselves. Like Chiron actually is telling me that his placement in your chart, wherever it is, protects you from that sort of danger zone, okay? So he protects you from becoming that arrogant, spoiled sort of person. But everything in life comes with its pros and cons. So I guess the con for you is that, yeah, you're always going to question your sense of worth. It's always going to be there. It's more about building up what you can, dealing with things as they come, but also being okay with the fact that, you know what, I am someone who has to remind themselves of their worth. I've been through a lot in my life, okay? I'm just not naturally a type of person that wants to go around bragging about themselves because I do feel a little insecure. I do question myself. Start embracing that part of yourself, I guess is what Chiron's trying to say. Embrace the fact that you are a person that is open to improvement, is open to constructive criticism, wants to better themselves, and isn't going to be the most secure person at all times in a room, has insecurities, has flaws. So I think for you, it's more about getting okay with that. That's what's really going to help stabilize you. Where you go down in a spiral is where you think, something's wrong with me. I'm just so insecure. Why do I feel worthless? I'm supposed to know my self-worth. I must not have self-love. Something's wrong with me. That's where you really get in trouble. Instead, it should be more of an acceptance of it. This is something I deal with. It's okay. I can remind myself daily that I'm worth it. I can pause life when I notice that I'm feeling insecure and tend to myself and take care of myself. I can surround myself with people who are going to uplift me. That's something I need, okay? I'm a person that needs upliftment, needs those compliments, needs reassurance. That's me. And so finding people who are willing to give you that, who are very openly affectionate, who really dramatize and show their love, instead of putting yourself around people and different groups who are more closed off to that. That's going to heal a lot too. Are you gravitating towards the right types of people? You are someone that needs love, affection, attention, praise. Yeah, you do. Does everyone? No, but you do. And that's okay. So you don't need to try and make yourself into someone that you're not. It's more about just allowing yourself to be who you are, okay? That's where you're going to build up your confidence, which is really what you're needing. Okay, let's look at the rest of the oracle cards here. Look at that. We've got the sun on this card. I think this is the only card in this deck with the sun on it. So we've got Leo and the die and the beautiful sun here. Okay, we have Libra. the chameleon. This card says, conceal ambition with patience until it is time to make your move. Love that. Oh, wow. Okay, and then we have the healer card from the archetype deck. And this says, passion to serve others by repairing the body, mind, and spirit. Ability to help transform pain into healing. And see how this shaman here is what it looks like. He has his hands around the woman's mind. Some of you guys may do really well in some sort of mental health industry, psychology, or even people that are in prison. I don't know, something with this 8th house, people suffering from mental illness, imprisonment, kind of like the outcasts of society that really need help and understanding and healing, even scientific research. Feels like there's some people here from this group that are kind of meant to go into that avenue work-wise. Okay, let's read the meaning of card number 23. Okay, and this card is called the Sun. It says, the wise enjoy their just rewards. The fool wants more than he can afford. Success will shine down upon you. You will be given some power and kissed by good fortune, but only as a consequence of your integrity, honesty, and commitment. I love that. So yeah, that's kind of the thing that is difficult whenever we're someone that grapples with insecurity and self-worth, right? Even when the sun's shining down and we're blossoming and we're prosperous and abundant, it doesn't feel fulfilling. We're like, well, now we need more. Now we need a little more. Now, if I just had a little bit more, then maybe that would make me feel good inside. Now I just need a little more. And we can go down this endless race that doesn't lead us anywhere. So that is something that is important to keep in check when it comes to our insecurities. Are we wanting more because we're trying to heal our sense of self-worth? Or is this truly the next step we're supposed to take in our life? And kind of being a parent to yourself and stopping yourself when you see that you're going down the wrong path, when you're chasing after something because you're wanting a boost in your self-worth and not because it actually is something you truly deeply want to commit to, is authentic to you, okay? So I see that you guys have a lot of joy coming in. The sun is going to be shining down upon you. But if you aren't allowing yourself to feel it, to receive it, what difference does that make, right? So try and look on the bright side of life and on yourself, because that is something that is hard for you guys, okay? And it's a curse and a blessing in one because of like what I said before. You guys are humble people. You are very self-deprecating. I can definitely see that. People enjoy your company because you're not arrogant. You're not narcissistic, okay? But the thing that sucks for you is you do grapple with that feeling of, am I worth anything? How do I prove my worth to others? That's another thing you got to keep an eye on. Am I trying to prove something to other people or to myself, and why? Once you kind of get to know yourself a little bit better, you're going to become a better like parent for yourself and keep a more watchful eye on these things. And that's when your confidence will really blossom. When you're able to accept and be okay with the fact that, you know what, I do feel a little insecure sometimes, and I am a little this or that way, and that's okay. That's kind of when I see you really coming into full bloom and really feeling at peace and balance, just like this Libra energy. Libra has the scales. It's about that equal balance, just like the stone you all gravitated towards. This balance of masculine and feminine, and where it's like, I feel like you almost like if this stone were to represent you, then this would be the dark side, the shadow self, and then here's the light side. It almost feels like your insecurity comes in when you're trying to turn this whole stone into this light side and it's not working, right? But the healing for you that Chiron's trying to assist you in is coming into acceptance of this just as it is. It's got its dark half and it's got its light half. And you know what? It's good that it's got both. They help balance one another out. This dark half isn't negative. It's not something to get rid of. It's just part of the stone. And so just like these scales, they have to have an equal amount on either side to be in balance. If you were to take off like a rock or a stone from one side, it would get all out of whack. It wouldn't even be right. So stop trying to be so light, and just accept the shadowy aspects of yourself. Some of you may deal with like weird phobias, okay? Suppressed memories and emotions, and just like weird, I see like lots of weird things around you guys. Like some of you may have experienced paranormal activities with UFOs or with ghosts, like, and this is all part of this darker, shadowy side of life that Chiron's trying to get you in touch with. He wants you to embrace that part of yourself instead of being in fear of it, instead of being scared of it. Okay, and so he does that through these sort of outside external experiences, whether it's nightmares or phobias or some of the other things that I've mentioned. He wants you to just kind of be in acceptance of it. Like, that's just life. That's how it is. This is who I am. Okay, let's read the chameleon card. Okay, it says, chameleon is at one with herself and her world. Her senses subtle, artful, otherworldly, her very skin sensing her environment and mimicking the colors that surround her. Be aware of subtle energies, the etheric vibrations that emanate from us all, psychic visions from afar, and trust to their message. In the tricky world of business, bide your time. Become gray and unnoticeable, perfectly positioned to assess the myriad currents and independent ambitions at play. And only then, like chameleons striking a fly, make your move. Okay, so this is showing me that at least the first half of your career is meant to be more in the background, more hidden. So some of you may have these ambitions of kind of getting out into the spotlight or being really well known, you know, receiving awards for your line of work or the industry that you're in. And may think that like, if I could just get more secure in myself, then I could finally start pursuing this. But what I'm seeing here from Chiron and from the cards is you're supposed to be more like in the background the first part of your career. And you do need that humble, self-deprecating, simple sort of energy to do that. And then somehow this, by being in the background, by kind of being in the shadows for a time, that's where I see your abundance kind of coming in, things building and momentum kind of going. And eventually you are supposed to end up in something that's more front and center, something you're more recognized from, but it all starts kind of in the shadows, okay? So don't try and like, I feel like some of you maybe like have really hated on yourself for like not being good at sales. Maybe you've got people in the family that are just like so good with people and sales and putting themselves out there, and maybe they do music and performance and videos, and you think, what the hell's wrong with me? You know, if I just wasn't so insecure, then I could be doing those things too. And Chiron's like, no. That's not what you were meant to do. There's something different for you that's more in the darkness, okay? You guys are supposed to be in industries that are darker, scarier, things that other people don't really want to mess with. Maybe even something really scientific. Yeah, something like that, where you end up bringing some things to light through research or through the healing arts or through some sort of discovery. And that's all in the dark. That's all behind the scenes, okay? So stop trying to hide the parts of yourself that you don't like, okay? All of the parts of you are worth something, are deserving of love. Every aspect of you is worth something and is worthy and deserving of love and of acceptance, of being embraced. All of those parts of you mixed together create the beauty that is you. Remove one of those ingredients. I mean, it'd be like trying to remove flour from a birthday cake that you're making. Yeah, it's just one ingredient, and a cake's got what, like 20 to make a cake? But I'm telling you, you remove the flour, which doesn't taste good on its own, right? You might take a spoonful of flour in your mouth before adding it into the cake mix and think, ooh, this stuff tastes gross. I think this cake would be better off without that flour. Ugh, icky. But then guess what? See how your cake turns out. It won't be a cake. It won't taste good. That's kind of the metaphor, I guess, Chiron's giving you for yourself. There may be certain things about you, certain aspects of you that, yeah, on their own might not taste good, might seem icky and bad and wrong, but I'm telling you, it's what makes the cake. It's what makes you. You need that in there, all right? So keep focusing on your self-worth. I think you're doing a good job. You're making a lot of progress, okay? And Chiron's going to help you. But you guys have got a big journey ahead. A journey through that. You guys are like you guys give me like, I wonder if you're midheavens in Scorpio. You guys kind of get, or a Scorpio rising, Scorpio midheaven, moon, sun. This is kind of my Scorpio pile. So let me know down below if you guys have any strong Scorpio or 8th house placements in your chart as well. But I will leave you all here. Thank you so much for coming. I love doing this for you, and I look forward to connecting with you in next week's Pick a Card reading. Bye, my lovely. Hey, Pile 4, welcome to your reading. Can't wait to see what message Chiron has for you, where you're wounded and meant to heal and guide others in their lives. So let's start by taking a roll of the die, and then we'll look at the card topper you all gravitated towards. All right, Chiron, what message do you have for group 4, Pile 4? Okay, we have Uranus in Aries in the 6th house. Now, you all may have gravitated towards another pile because I'm feeling a similar energy here. If you did, go back and listen to that pile after this one. But okay, so Uranus is this kind of rebellious planet, a very forward-thinking, progressive sort of energy, very shocking energy. And Aries can be rebellious as well, or at least in the sense that, like, it wants to do what it wants to do. It doesn't want to compromise. It doesn't care what other people think. Like, it wants to pioneer something, push something forward, take action. And the 6th house has to do with our daily habits, our routine, our bodily health, and kind of just our day-to-day, like, mundane, boring parts of life. The things that we have to do in life to avoid negative consequences, but we don't necessarily get joy from it. Like, I show up to work because I don't want to get fired and I need to be able to pay my rent, but it's not like I enjoy going, but I'm going to go because I don't want the negative consequences. Or I pay this bill because I don't want to deal with the negative consequences of having sucky credits. But is it enjoyable to pay the bill? No, or I eat this salad because it's healthy and I don't want the negative consequences of bad health. But am I enjoying eating the salad? No, I'd much rather have a pint of ice cream. So that's kind of the 6th house stuff. So we will see kind of how Chiron is helping you when it comes to these aspects of life as we get into the cards. Let's take a look at the card topper you all were pulled towards. And this is, believe it or not, a diamonds. It says on the bottom, shine your brightest. Who needs it? Who doesn't? That's what it says. When to use it? When you've just got to keep it icy. When you want to make your intentions perfectly clear. When it's time to beam your own unique light through the darkness for all to see. Own it with diamonds. I love that. Some of you guys may be April babies because I'm pretty sure diamond is the birthstone for April. Some of you could be newly engaged, newly married. Diamonds kind of represent a lifelong sort of commitment to me, not only because of how they're used in weddings, but because they are such a strong stone. That's why they started being used for marriage, at least in the United States. I'm not sure if everyone in the world follows that custom, probably not, but it's because the diamond at that time was considered like the strongest stone. And so it kind of represented the commitment of that marriage, that it was going to last through everything, that it was tough, But you've also heard of the phrase, the diamond in the rough, which is when you first mine or discover a diamond, it does not look like what it looks like once it's ready to be put on a ring. It looks ugly, it's not shiny, it's not beautiful, but through a lot of kind of tough work on certain machines and cleansing it and grinding it and adding a lot of heat and a lot of pressure, it becomes this wonderful, magnificent diamond, okay? So that could be you all in this lifetime. Perhaps you all were the diamond in the rough, or the ugly duckling that transforms into a swan, or always discovers it always was a swan later in life. We'll see as we get into the cards. So let's flip over the tarot cards first. Okay, we have the Hanged Man. This is water energy, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. I always associate it more with like Pisces energy. And then we have the, what is this, 1, 2, 3, the 9 of Wands. Okay, it's in reverse. The 9 of Wands. Okay, all right. So I see that spiritually, Chiron's trying to teach you how to find purpose even in the situations that are totally out of your control, that there is nothing you can do. Your hands are tied. Are you going to hang out and be miserable, angry, and frustrated? Or are you going to try and find some wisdom, some knowledge, a new perspective that you can gain in that process? Are you going to turn away from God and be angry at God and the universe for the things outside of your control? Or will those things that are outside of your control actually will you choose to pull closer to God, to step into your spirituality, your prayer, your meditation during those moments? That's kind of what Chiron's here to help you with. Now, in the external reality, I see that there are a lot of burdens that have been placed on you. Feels like you've got a pretty heavy load, you guys, not gonna lie. A lot of responsibilities on your shoulders. It just feels like you guys are kind of like workhorses, or even if it's not physical things. It's like emotional baggage that other people kind of place on you. And can you help me out with this? And can you do me this favor? And can you be responsible for this, that, or the other? And I see that it's feeling quite overwhelming. Perhaps this is your whole life. Perhaps you've always been that type of person to kind of take on a heavier load than everyone else. But I feel like Chiron's here to try and help you find your voice. Try and help you find your sense of rebellion, or even your sense of selfishness. We all have to be a little bit selfish to survive. Selfishness isn't a negative thing. We can do negative things when we're selfish, but selfishness in itself isn't negative. Kind of like, I always use the example of, when you're on an airplane and they're talking about what to happen if the airplane's crashing, the masks come down. And they always say, put on your own mask before even attempting to help anyone else. If you don't be selfish and put your mask on first, well, you're going to be no use to anyone else around you. Okay? So in that instance, selfishness is what's required. It's necessary. Being selfish in that first instant, getting your mask on first, will allow you to have the energy, the oxygen to help out everyone else afterwards. So I feel like for you, you have this really negative connotation with the idea of selfishness. The idea of, I've got to put myself first. I've got to say no to this. I need to draw a boundary here. And that's kind of what Chiron's trying to help you heal. How to set boundaries, how to say no when you need to. Because a lot of times you say yes to things, and then you end up in a situation from that decision to say yes that really is outside of your control. It's like, well, my hands are tied now. Like, now I'm in the thick of it. There's nothing else I can do, I guess. And Chiron's saying, like, in a lot of those instances, you actually could have said no and never gotten in the thick of it. Never ended up in a situation where your hands were tied and there was nothing you can do. So Chiron's trying to teach you how to do that, how to balance out your day-to-day well-being, your health, your habits, your routine, get things in order, and to be very emotionally detached in your ability to be selfish when you need to and just say simply, nope, not going to do it. I can't do it. I can't. Sorry. Okay, I feel like you guys really struggle with that. Okay, let's look at the rest of the tarot. All right, we have Six of Pentacles, Six of Swords, so 2 sixes here. Ooh, the Wheel of Fortune. This is Jupiter energy, which rules Sagittarius and Pisces. And 2 of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, you guys take on too much. You juggle too much, you guys. Is Chiron in your 6th house? Is it in your 2nd house? 8th house, maybe? Yeah, it's time for, the Wheel of Fortune represents kind of expansion, new horizons, new journeys, luck, prosperity, new beginnings. Like, the wheel is changing. The seasons are changing. You've kind of been stuck in the same season of life for way too long. And the only thing keeping you there is all of these obligations that you've signed up for with other people that you could have said no to. So I feel like Chiron's actually wanting you to take on this rebellious energy of Uranus and break away, break free, quick and clean, kind of like ripping off a Band-Aid. You just got to do it quickly and then you're done. And everyone's going to have to readjust this kind of new version of you. Chiron there was something, obviously, it could just be in your personality, or it could have been something from your upbringing that made you have this very negative connotation with the idea of selfishness, of putting your own self first, that that's wrong, that that's not okay, that that's narcissistic. Maybe you had a mother that just really sacrificed all of her dreams, goals, and ambitions, her sense of self and identity for her kids. Maybe you admired that, thought that was the right way to be. Or maybe you had a dad, for example, that always just put himself first, that didn't think about anyone else's needs when it came to, well, but Dad, I really want to do this, or I'd really like to buy that, or could we do this instead? And it may have always been, nope, my way or the highway. Something, okay, made you really not want to stand up for yourself and say no. Even in the Six of Pentacles, it's like what I'm seeing here is a woman who is just waiting for someone to give her what she needs. Doesn't even feel like she has the right to ask for it, to demand it. It's like, no, I'll just sit quiet and I'll just smile like I'm supposed to, and hopefully someone comes and gives me a coin because I'm really running low. It's like you were taught to kind of like be sweet, be nice, put others before yourself, and those are really great values in a lot of instances, but it went a little bit too far, and you didn't get a chance to learn how to value yourself and put yourself first at times and say no to others when you need to. And I see in the Two of Pentacles that like you're juggling too much and you have a hard time saying no, and you end up kind of dropping the ball on things that really matter to you because you're overextending yourself in all these other areas, doing favors for other people, putting other people first, and then the things you love and you care about are getting neglected in the process. And that's not okay. You deserve better than that. And, you know, Chiron's the wounded healer. What you heal from, you help heal others in. So by you setting this example starting now, breaking away, drawing some boundary lines, people in your life, even the people who don't like it very much at first because they're so used to whatever it is you've been doing, eventually they're going to have a perspective shift on this. They're going to learn something from that. They're going to say, you know what? That was really, really good of you to do that. You seem like so much better. Like your energy, your mood looks good. You seem really happy and healthy. Like that was really the right thing for you to do. Because maybe this is a generational trauma in your family, you know, where everyone's taught to really have no boundaries and put everyone above yourself at all times. And, you know, so I feel like you're going to kind of lead and teach a lot of people around you in this process as well. And I see in the Six of Swords that like this is the time for you to really prioritize, clean things out. This is a family, a husband, a wife, and a child who are escaping a war-torn country to find peace and stability. And that's a little boat that they're in. So when they decided to leave that country, they really had to decide what is absolutely necessary to take, because we cannot take everything. We've got to let some stuff go. We've got to cut some stuff clean. So they really downsized, minimized, all right? And they just took what was most important to them. Probably a little bit of food, some money, and each other. So you've really got to downsize your obligations. Really decide what's most important to you in life and focus on that. Do not allow it to be neglected for anyone else or anything else. Okay, let that be the focus. Stop spreading yourself so thin. It's okay to put what you want to put first, even if other people need something else. Because in a lot of ways, you could be enabling a lot of people to depend on you. And then their opportunity to be independent is being taken from them. It's that feeling of, wow, I accomplished this on my own. It's being stolen from them. Okay, so that's another aspect of it too. A lot of times when we think we're doing what's good and what's right, we're robbing people of their own sense of pride and accomplishment and achievement in the process. Okay, let's take a look at the oracle cards here. We have card number 11 from my golden deck. The Gemini card. So you all could have Gemini energy in your chart. Let me know down below. And then we have the hippopotamus. This says, friends stand close by to shield you from life's adversities. And then we have the student. It says, humility and devotion to knowledge and openness to lifelong learning. Okay, I want to read you the message on this card from the book. So let's take a look at that. Okay, and this card is called the book because that's what's here on the front. As long as the fool in silence remains, people may think he has half a brain. Ask advice of someone who knows more than you, experts or people you know who love you. It is a roadmap and personal advice provided from someone we should seek out. That's interesting because that ties in well with the student card, which is all about openness to learning and new things. So it looks like you guys are really in a situation. Some of you at this point, the burdens are so heavy, things have gotten so complicated, so intertwined, that you may truly feel at a loss of, I don't know if I can budge. I don't know if I can move. I don't know if I could change anything. This whole thing could collapse down on top of everyone and everything. And I don't want to do that. Especially for those of you who are maybe in a situation of like a divorce or something more complicated, maybe a job that's really unfulfilling, but you've got bills and things to pay. So take the advice on the card, be open-minded. Don't be so nihilistic with the way that you view things. Because I feel like you're very all or nothing. You know, so it's like, no, it's no use even like looking or asking. I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing, even though I'm not happy and I'm feeling overwhelmed. What this card is saying is, look, no, just open your mind, chill out a little bit, talk to some experts, get some good advice, do a little bit of research, calculate your options, okay, and be open to receiving that information as well. Gemini is very open-minded, fits in very well with these cards also. Gemini is open to changing its mind. Gemini loves the ability it has to change its mind when it feels like it. If it's got new info, it may change its perspective, change its mind. Gemini is also very communicative. It's a sign that's about communication, speaking what's on your mind, having good conversations, a good back and forth with other people. For some of you, this whole overwhelming situation could involve siblings, or that could have a huge effect on what it is you're going through, a relationship with a sibling, a loss of a sibling. That won't be for all of you, but for some of you, I do feel that. So yeah, I feel like some of you actually, this is interesting. So what I'm hearing from Spirit or from Chiron is that this need to like kind of overwhelm yourself and be everything for everyone comes from an aspect in your life that you need to forgive yourself for. It was a situation, I feel like years ago, where you felt like you caused people pain by putting yourself first. You made some sort of selfish move, you did something selfishly, or you dropped the ball on something. Yeah, and you feel like it caused people pain, and now you owe it to everyone to make up for what you put them through. For some of you, it's also a relationship that was lost. Someone, I think, in your life that did need your help, and it could have been a sibling, okay? Didn't have to be. It could have been someone who felt like a sibling. They really needed some help, and for whatever reason, you just couldn't. Maybe you weren't aware that they needed help, right? I feel like it wasn't your fault at all, but for some reason, when you lost this person, you put all that guilt on you. I didn't do something. I should have stepped in and helped. Why did I not notice? Why this or why that? So you have this guilt that keeps you kind of paranoid or feeling undeserving of putting yourself first, or like putting yourself first could lead to regrets, could be a really bad thing to do. So it's really time for those of you out there that this applies to, because I'm feeling a presence here, okay, next to me. It's time for you to forgive yourself, okay? It was not your fault what happened, all right? And I'm also, whoever this is that's coming through just wants to convey how much they love you, how much they appreciate you, and how much they want to see you finally let yourself breathe a little, let go of this guilt, okay? And they just keep reiterating, it was not your fault. It was not your fault, okay? So let that go, release that. It wasn't your fault. Okay, I don't know who that message was for, but that came through very strongly. So there is someone here in the reading, does feel feminine and younger, okay? And it's coming through for one of you. And so that's where this thing is with you wanting to kind of be everything for everyone and not say no and not have boundaries. There's a guilt here that needs to be released, okay? And you need to realize that that wasn't on you, okay? Let that go. Not everything is on you. Not everything's your responsibility, okay? It's time to look out for yourself. All right, let's read the hippopotamus card. It says, rotund, bountiful hippopotamus counsels that you nourish those around you and be nourished in turn. In a world of fast food eaten alone, the time has come to again break bread with friends and family as humankind has always done, and to take succor from confidences given and revealed. These intimates are eyes and ears looking out for us in a complex world. And, like the red lacquered coat of protective liquid that protects hippopotamus from sunburn and dehydration, they shield us from the vicissitudes of life. That's beautiful. So this is talking about taking time to relax with the people that you love. Instead of I feel like you kind of, the relationships that you have in your life, you feel like your value and your worth in those comes from what you do for people, okay? And what I'm seeing with the hippopotamus card is that, first of all, that's not true. And it's time for you to just be able to enjoy your relationships without feeling like there needs to be this obligation of you to give or offer something other than your company, your love, your time, your laughter. Like, what happened to that, right? Why does it always have to be so transactional? And the answer is it doesn't have to be. It's time to just connect with the people that you love and enjoy them, even if you're not doing them any favors, even if you're not taking on any of their responsibilities. Like, you don't have to do that. You can have a relationship outside of that. For some of you, could be parents whose kids have just transitioned into adulthood and you're having a really hard time grappling with your role in their life now that they no longer need you kind of hovering over them and cooking for them and guiding them. Because as parents, before our kids are adults, we do kind of have not a transactional relationship, but we're supposed to kind of take on some of their responsibilities and help them do this and wake them up for school and cook them meals, right? So some of you may have kids that have become adults and you still find yourself kind of going back to, well, I can just do that for you and I can do this, like not really quite knowing how to transition this relationship into a new phase. because your default mode is to just be that parent to those younger kids, you know. So this was quite a varied group, but the overall message from Chiron is it's time to put yourself first. It's time to let go of those negative connotations you have with being a little bit selfish, okay? Setting your boundaries, saying no, minimizing your workload. All of those things are good, and Chiron's going to help you heal this. Just follow his lead, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming to this video, and I look forward to seeing you all in next week's Pick a Card reading. Bye, my lovelies.